Hey Cancer, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings. We take what works, leave what doesn't. If I don't catch your wavelength or storyline here, check your other major placements. We are starting with Oracle decks of Work Your Light and Urban Crow. And then we'll move on to a more traditional tarot spread with the Tarot of Mystical Moments. Anything else from Urban Crow? If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It makes me happy, and it also helps other people find my channel. All right. You know what? I'm going to turn off my heater before it even gets tempted to start here. All right. Oh. Okay. I like that. Okay. All right, so we have the crumbling. This is our Tower card in Work Your Light. Some old way of doing things, old way of being is falling away. It's no longer useful to you. It's outlived its usefulness, and it's time for it to crumble and leave. There's a beautiful, beautiful world beyond that. There's something really, this is new. It's not wrong to be old, and it's not right to be new. It's just a new thing coming in, and the old thing must fall away. So that can be a little scary and a little tricky to handle and manage. But that's what's happening, crumbling. What are you clinging to? And then we have release in the Urban Crow. So I really love this. What are you clinging to? Some old outmoded situation, and then time to release that. Time to let go, to move on, let something stay where it is while you move forward. I'm actually going to read Release from the book because that's what I feel called to do. When the time comes when you cannot grieve anymore, it's time to let go. This card may come to you when you need help moving forward or accepting an ending. It is time to move on, rise up, and release yourself from the past. So actually, yeah, these are basically the same card. So letting go of something, some old structure or something from the past, moving on. Then we have Insight here. This is about being clever, about exploration, about finding solutions to your problems through play and through exploration. The solution here isn't going to be very obvious, very, I want to say, cookie cutter solution to something. It's not going to be in, you know, every advice book. You may not find it on every advice, you know, thing online, every inspirational Instagram page, something like that. But there's something here where you have to do some experimenting and some exploring, and the answer will rise will rise to the top here. But you have to do some playing and some exploring, and maybe something a little unusual will happen. But this is like questioning, exploring, and watching the results. This is being a real little curious scientist in a very unofficial way, but a very curious scientist in your life here, and doing some exploring. This crow basically is dropping rocks into this jar full of water and a shrimp. As it drops rocks in there, the water rises, and then the shrimp rises to within its beak range. So how this crow probably did not go to school to learn about water displacement. This crow started doing some experimentation, saw what works, and then so as you're embracing, as you're releasing, try a couple different things, and be observant and be a little scientist as you're working through your life this week, or for the next 2 weeks, or I think it's probably going to be about 2 weeks for a while here. So that these readings come in, because there a lot of things happened in my life. So there's a lot of scheduling stuff going on here. So I've slowed these readings down. My guesses are going to be about every other week, which I think we can all live with, actually. I think will be good, actually. Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? So don't pretend to be someone you're not. Don't pretend to have more mainstream feelings than you have. I really like it with this Insight card, because this Insight is about sort of following your own like niggles, your own like, what happens if I do this? And following your own, setting up your own hypothesis, following your own intuition about something, about exploration. And this is like, don't try to find your answers in the same place everybody else finds their answers, or in the same way. That's not going to happen. So not trying to do things the way everybody else does things, but finding and experimenting with your own unique way and your own unique voice. So don't dim to fit in. I just love that advice constantly. But for you right now, it's particularly relevant. So don't try to silence who you really are. And I feel like I feel strongly that it combines with this insight card as far as like finding solutions that work for you, that are unique to you, to your creativity, and not just trying to do something the same way everybody else does something. So, all right, Cancer. This is your past, your present, your inner landscape. What's at issue? Your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. Whoa, we have a rogue upside down card, which is really interesting and weird. It probably would have brought up the same issues, but I keep this deck upright. I like my card. Oh, I love this. Also, in the pre-shuffle, the moon card came out twice, so both in a couple different ways during the I saw it 3 times while I was shuffling to prepare for this, which is your card, which I thought was just really cool and really tickled me. In your recent past, you have Temperance. This is time, gentling, getting used to something, adjusting to some idea or some part of your life, really kind of integrating something into your life, blending something, getting used to it. You may have felt that this was a protected space. Temperance is always like time heals all wounds, time softens the rough edges. So something has taken some time. There's been an adjustment period, an adaptation period to integrate something into your life, to integrate an idea, integrate a concept, or even just like a new job or a new person or something like that, like getting used to that. And so that's a process you've been in. The Temperance card always, some of these cards are like really sharp, like, okay, there's going to be a moment, there's going to be this moment, and there's going to be this moment. And Temperance to me is like, so over a long period of time, months to years, something needs to be adjusted to and gotten used to. So to me, the Temperance card always has to deal with a longer term, long time situation. 5 of Wands comes next. That's not necessarily the case how I feel the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands could be like one little conflict or a week of conflict, or could also be a longer term, but it feels shorter term to me. So in the current situation, you have 5 of Wands. There's conflict, conflict of interests, conflict of, I love that Welz-Stein uses a chessboard to depict this, because it helps me think about all the different motivations, all the modus operandi of all the parties involved here. A lot of people move very differently through life. They, some people move one space to the side and then move forward a little bit. Some can jet straight across. Some can only move one piece at a time. And they all have different motivations. Some are here to be sacrificed. Some are here to be saved. And so just in general, not very specific metaphors, but in general, everybody's working on different assumptions, different desires, different goals, different everything, and they're clashing. So the 5 of Wands is about all these different goals, different ideas, different ways of moving through life, clashing and competing. So there's a sense here of a battle. It's not a fisticuffs battle. It's not, there's no bayonets out here. This is a battle of the wills and strategies and that kind of thing. And there is strategy involved in the 5 of Wands. And strategies of how we get our motivations met and our needs met. And it just speaks to the complexity of some sort of conflict situation in which you're in which it can be hard to figure out who's on what side, how people are working, and where people are going to move next. And there's just strategy in this conflict, and it's kind of complicated. And then we have in your inner landscape, your hopes, fears. This came up upside down, reverse Empress. So this to me is very specifically about a fear that you are not enough, a fear that you don't have what it takes, a fear that you don't have what you need financially, emotionally, maybe even a fear of being single, maybe even a fear of just not being enough. This can be a little bit of the imposter syndrome that we see sometimes of, I don't belong here. I don't have what it takes to be here. This is a fear that you're facing, is that you aren't enough, that you don't have what it takes. You don't have anything to offer. That you can barely maintain your own self, your own situation in life, that how could you possibly offer something to somebody else? The Empress is ideally self-sufficient, but you're dealing with fears of not being self-sufficient and not being enough and not having what it takes to be successful, either in a situation or just overall. And then what we have at issue here is the Lovers card in reverse. The Lovers, this is, well, either not having a choice or having a choice that feels too one-sided, and that the part of this choice that your heart would love to do is so has so little support for that decision, for that choice, that it might feel like you cannot choose this other thing. Like, this is don't dim to fit in. And how I saw this at the beginning was don't dim to fit in and insight, being your unique self. And this card in the reverse is a lot of pressure to not be unique, a lot of pressure to go with what makes other people happy, to do some people pleasing, to stay in a mode of doing what's expected of you and not doing this unique part. There could be a lot of pressure and a lot of weight being given unfairly, so that this choice doesn't even feel like a choice, to what you have to do versus what's calling you and what you would really like to do. So that's a difference. That's the Lover's reverse. The Lover's reverse could also be like not having a choice, not seeing the choice. With this Empress in reverse card, I see that, you know, with the thing that you'd like to do, you don't feel like you can do it. You don't feel like it's possible, it's feasible, it's doable. There's too much complexity here. There's too many competing scenarios here. You wouldn't be able to do that. And then with this reverse Lovers card, it's telling me that you're not even seeing the option. You're not entertaining the option. You feel trapped in a corner, that you don't actually have an option. That might be a refrain you're dealing with here, is I don't have a choice, which is not true. It's always true. You may have crappy choices and they may be heavily weighted towards one direction, but you do have choices. So the Lovers card is just, you may not feel like you have a choice right now. And you may not feel like you may be feeling like going with your heart, going with that option may not be available to you right now. And it may not be for now. We can always revisit that. Those doors get closed, but there's nothing that says they can't get reopened again later. But you're feeling like you don't have an option and you don't have a choice. There could also be a bit of a breakup here. Just looking at this release in the crumbling card. And the Lovers being sometimes about deep connections, and not deeply connecting and not losing a deep connection. In your environment, you could have the Queen of Pentacles. You have the Queen of Pentacles card. There's somebody here that's very motivated, very with career, money-wise, really looking out for themselves. This is the Empress. She has a lot of Empress vibe here, especially when it comes to material wealth. So the Queen could represent someone in your environment, male or female, who is very forward-looking, looking to the next steps, looking out for their best interests. balance. She's got everything she needs. So there's someone around you that seems to have it all, enough to, there's a sense of abundance here. And she's definitely dreaming about what's her next step or his next step, climbing some sort of ladder to success. There's someone around you that's very career oriented or very money focused, usually in a pretty healthy way, but they're very much focused on their own journey, in that they're not trying to make you do anything. They're not trying to lead a bunch of people to do anything. It's just, this is their focus, is they need to be, or they feel like they need to be focused on their career. Maybe you're not, and you're like, what? Am I wrong for this? What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Do I not have what it takes? This other person's climbing the career ladder just fine, but I don't feel like I have what it takes to make those next steps or those bold moves the way that other person is making those bold moves. This could also be a mentor in your environment who's already gone down the path that you'd like to go down, and can share that with you. Even though you're not feeling like you are enough, there could be someone in your environment that's willing to sort of show you the way up the ladder to success. And then your to-do list, the energy you're looking to engage with. This is Six of Pentacles. So Six of Pentacles is going to be about resource, time management, and resource distribution, balancing things. Things that seem out of balance may not actually be out of balance. Things that seem unfair may not actually be unfair. It could just be, it's this person's time for this. It's this person's time for that. This person, we don't fill... When we're hanging out with friends, we don't fill each teacup drop by drop, a drop for you and a drop for me. The tea gets poured. The tea is poured. The tea is poured into one cup and then another cup. So it may seem unfair, but there may actually be some overall balance to this equation. We see the scales of justice here. We see one person getting tea, another person waiting for their tea, but everyone's gonna get tea in the end. So just, I think, watching resource use, planning your resources of both time and money, and also allowing other people to be successful when you're not in that place right now, but knowing that you will be in that place someday. So it's no big thing to celebrate somebody else's successes, because our turn will come. So I think there's something here in the Six of Pentacles about waiting for your turn, understanding, there's no jealousy between these two women here sharing a cup of tea. Eventually, they will both get their cup of tea. So having some confidence in that. And then there could also be some element here in the Six of Pentacles where you need to plan out your resource distribution of time, money, all of that, and that flow of generosity. So being generous, knowing that it will come back to you. So there's a very competitive vibe in this Five of Wands, competing for resources, competing. And the Six of Pentacles talks more about the generosity flowing back and forth and being able to be generous, maybe being able to be generous about someone else's successes, even though you're not feeling them and you don't have them right now, but finding a way to feel generous and to understand that the resources they flow, they ebb and flow in and out of our lives. And sometimes I'm reminded of the Joni Mitchell song about the merry-go-round, and our ponies go up and our ponies go down. And when we're on a merry-go-round, we're not upset with someone else's pony being up while ours is down. This is very difficult in real life. This metaphor makes it seem much easier, but our pony is down, but our pony will be up someday, and maybe this person's pony will also be up, or maybe it'll be down, whatever. But we kind of going up and down around the the cycles here. So that's what this card, of course, it's not always true. It's not always true that one day we're a billionaire and the next day we're homeless. So it's not always true, but in extremes. But there's truth to it right now for you. There's a competitive vibe here, and we need a more cooperative vibe, a more patient vibe, a more letting the energy flow from here to there, letting money flow from here to there, and understanding that your turn will come. this somehow allows you into this, a possible outcome of this is friendship. Of course we want our friends to be mutually supportive, right? Of course we want to celebrate them when they get the lead part, and we want to be celebrated when we get the lead part. So, so this is a circle of friendship. This is mutually supportive, enjoying each other's company, birds of a feather. And with this Lover's card, you may be feeling like you don't quite have a connection here. This isn't quite a connection, but with your sort of allowing the flow of life and maybe even, you know, calculating that your resource allotment, and maybe you don't want to spend a lot of resources on being jealous or competitive. Maybe we can instead draw a circle of friendship and move to go towards friendship. So there could be someone you're very competitive with right now, and there might be a new way to relate to them and bring someone into friendship. Either that, or you're going to be finding some good friends with mutual support, but you do kind of have to try not to control the flow of life's generosity, but more or less participate in it, not even just allow it, but participate in that generosity and understand that there's a flow involved here. And it's not going to be one for you and one for me, that it's going to be a rushing flow. And that allows for stronger friendships, a circle of friends to come in here and be created here. So, all right, Cancer, I hope that was helpful for you. Yeah, hope you have a great time period until I see you again.